Hi there. A few things before we start. Firstly, this video is my attempt to point out some of the hypocrisies and biases surrounding the reasons people give to why they won't give dead or alive a chance. Second, I will try and make this as non-ranty as possible and be objective. No one wants to hear a rant. Third, I won't be talking about the deeper mechanics of the game as I'm nowhere near qualified to talk about character balance or what makes a fighting game technically good. If you want to hear about that stuff, go watch someone like Imaririns or Hoodless on Twitch. And lastly, I won't be talking about DOA 6 as it had a terrible early launch, terrible DLC practice and has already lost dev support. Now, let's get at it. Breasts move. The end. No, seriously. I don't know how this idea that boobs going up and down was something invented by game developers. Fatty tissue on the body is going to jiggle. Just watch a clip from this video.
But before that, I just wanted to give some advice to any new young 3D artists that are afraid of adding some bounce because they don't want to come off as perverted or offensive. There is nothing wrong with adding jiggle physics to your character. Not only is this knowledge required and expected, if you ever wanted to consider doing character animation professionally for any AAA game company, it is also extremely unrealistic for you not to put in your character. Anyone who's ever dated a girl will tell you, those things move, and they move a lot. Even when girls wear sports bras which are designed to specifically stop movement, you're still gonna see this, and this, and this, and this. It's just a normal part of life. Most girls don't even think it's weird. The lead animator of Skullgirls hand drew the jiggle physics into all of her characters and had a lot of fun doing it. And people love the game. My point is, girls know their boobs bounce. Most of them are proud of it. It's not objectification, it's not inappropriate, it's just physics.
The irony is people say that breast physics are fake when fake breasts actually move less than natural ones. There's literally a comparison of fake versus real breast movement on YouTube you can look at. I'm sure there are exceptions, but real ones have more fluent movement and jiggle, so, despite what people would have you believe, removing jiggle from your games doesn't make them more realistic and doesn't do anything to help women. Also, all the currently popular fighting games and games in general have this as well. Tekken has it. Soul Calibur has it. King of Fighters has it. This is what Street Fighter used to look like before they filled the breasts with lead. Side note. DOA was also not the first game to have jiggle physics. Everyone's favorite character for good boys and girls appeared in King of Fighters 94, which released in, you guessed it, 1994. DOA released in 1996. So there you are. Yes, they were. But they've come a long way from this. Now it's much more natural, it even says so. See? Yes. DOA has swimsuits, but again, so does Tekken. So does Soul Calibur. And even things like whatever the hell this is. So does Street Fighter. The difference is DOA has swimwear for the men as well. Equality for the win. Just like in all of these games, they are entirely optional. Just don't use them if you don't like them. Moving on. It's a fighting game from Japan. Moving on. Let's take a quick look at the first two default costumes of every character, as fighting games usually start with everyone only having two, and see how many things we can pin as typically sexy. This is subjective, but there isn't anything that extreme in comparison to the default costumes of other games, especially Soul Calibur. To this day I only know of one other game on console that has nipples on a character model. Gotta hand it to them. Even Senran Kagura doesn't do that. It might be hard to notice, but they are there. The most outrageous ones you could point out are Tina and Rachel, possibly Kasumi and Ayane too. But this is in comparison to the other game's default outfits for characters. I personally don't think they are that much more outrageous. Moving on. This one's also subjective. Even if characters were made with being attractive in mind, whether they're sexy or good looking is up to the person. I've also heard people say Tekken and Street Fighter are too ugly, or that Soul Calibur 2's character models were somehow better than 6.
Hi there. Sorry to interrupt, but I need to inform something. A lot of people seem to think that resolution and graphics are the same thing. They are not. Resolution is actually the pixel count on the display of your monitor. Example, 720 by 480 means 720 pixels wide and 480 pixels tall. On the other hand, graphics are the things you see in your display. So when someone says graphics aren't the best, they aren't talking about the resolution, they mean the character models, environments, etc. Please stop putting them together. Carry on.
You can make an excuse that Ivy is technically an old lady, but when did that stop anyone from liking Tsunade? People are still going to see a curvy lady in dominatrix clothes. The point is, DOA isn't the only game that took the young and pretty route, so don't treat it like it is. Some people like young pretty characters, some don't. There's no winning on this, unfortunately. This is one of the worst complaints. Fighting games by nature now are quote-unquote games as service. They're going to keep getting content as long as they are being supported, and to keep getting support developers need to be paid to keep adding more to a game. Unless you want them to work for free and make money off another job for 5 years. And if a game is supported for years with new things every 2 months, it's going to have a lot. These are just facts. DLC isn't an evil concept as long as it's fair. As for DOA 5, it's got some of the best DLC practice I've seen. First, the only DLC gameplay related are 2 characters and 1 stage. That's all. Less than $20 I believe. All the rest are skins and the Paradise videos no one needs. Second, no one needs all skins in a fighting game to get the full experience. They're just skins, not frame data. Chances are you want someone who plays every character in a fighting game. Playing 2 or 3 characters is what most are going to do, so just buy skins for the characters you play. And if you are so desperate to have every skin in the game, DOA 5 has DLC sets for every themed outfit and even a full set of every skin for each individual character. Or you can just buy what you want individually for no more than $2 to $3, which is far better than I can say for most games. The game also has quite a lot of skins by default and even a code to unlock a majority of them. Don't just get mad because of big numbers and season passes before knowing what they entail. DOA 6 however has terrible DLC practice and you're free to hate it. Moving on. Outdated mechanics. You mean like the parry system and lack of meter? You're right, that does seem pretty outdated. Jokes aside, various people have claimed Tekken 7 to be the greatest fighting game of all time, not even current generation, just all time. And the game doesn't have meter as the main mechanic. Yes, there are 3 characters who use meter, but it's not a main mechanic of the game. And I've heard some people don't even like them having it, and the low parries are just a less complex version of DOA's hold system. So what exactly is outdated? Whether or not you believe Tekken 7 to be the greatest fighter ever is up to you, but you can't deny it's popular, and it didn't need to add meter to become relevant. In my opinion, the game has nice combos, good movement, And the tutorial and training mode are deeper than I've seen in any game. And I didn't have to pay extra for it. Once again, same for Soul Calibur, Tekken and Street Fighter. There's a thing called Rule 34 on the internet, look it up. It's just easier with DOA because the game doesn't need a 3D camera modded in since it already has a fully dynamic one. Nothing more you can say about that one. Look, this isn't some way to convince you DOA isn't made to be a sexy fighting game. The PlayStation Store literally advertises the characters as the hottest in gaming. It was always that way and was always meant to be that way. Anyone who says the older titles weren't trying to be sexy are being naive. My points are simply to let you know that the problems you have with DOA can be said about your favorite fighting game as well in some way or another. Soul Calibur only just recently added a feature to turn off outfits being destroyed by lethal hits so all your secret tattoos don't have to be revealed. While I don't care myself because I'm an honest degenerate that enjoys sexual content and thinks sexy is a cool style, I understand there are people that don't. I do like that they added that option as everyone should be able to have what they want as long as it's within reason, instead of making things one way or the other. That's called being fair, not something you're used to in fighting game culture, I'm sure. And DOA also has those options. Don't like jiggle physics? Turn them off. Don't like wet see-through clothes? Turn them off. DOA doesn't have to be an overly sexy game if you don't want it to be just like the others, and if you miss the old days, crank that shit up to OMG and go crazy. I've either convinced you Dead or Alive isn't as bad as you might have thought it was, or that fighting games from Japan are just degenerate in general. Either way, you're welcome. The game has a free version, so maybe someday you can give it an honest try and see if you hate it for more than what's on the outside. All I ask is to try and like and accept your games for what they are and want to be, unashamed and proudly, and to have fun. Now I'm going to play some DOA X3 because we're all free to play what we want. Zero out of fucking 10.